Alright, I decided to work a little more on this, figuring out this axle and stuff. Got nothing better to do. So this here is an 84 to 99 axle for FLT Softail, which is what you would think would go on this bike. This one here is the axle off the 73 to 83 FL, FX, FXWG, otherwise known as the earlier wheel. The difference in these axles is this here has another 3/8 of an inch more shoulder here, and it's slightly different on how it's made, so it should fit up a little bit better. The problems I'm having right now is when the wheel is in the bike, there it goes, over here I had this spacer in here to keep the axle from poking through too far over here, and that was keeping me from sliding the wheel all the way over this way to send it up in the fork. So all the dimensions were off. So I'm not sure what I need. So I'm going to hold off on opening this up just yet. I'm going to try to use this axle here, which you'd think would be the correct one, but I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see. So I picked up a brake rotor here. So I put that on. So I'm going to go ahead and try mocking this back up, find a few spacers to use, and see if I can make it work. If I can't make it work, we're going to try to put the other axle on, see if we make that one work. So, got a few different things here. First problem is I need more of a spacer here, thicker than this, for this other side to get what I need. I'm not sure what I need yet, so we have to kind of figure it out. First thing we do is put the axle back in here. Somebody got the ding jack way the hell up in the air right now. Somebody adjusted the forks down so it'd be more ride height, but for now that's fighting me. It needs to go up in the air a little bit. So we're going to adjust this here a little bit and move this thing back up in the air. Still got to take this whole fork off and make everything fit again anyway. It's not like this is any kind of permanent installation right now. Just got to put the turn away. Most custom jobs, you take stuff apart about 15 times at least to figure out what the hell you need to do and make. Okay, now the front end's free, I can move it up a little bit. There's where I want it. Yeah. This side, looks like we're pretty even right now. Tighten this side down. All right. I should be able to work on the wheel a little easier now. Okay. Now I can slide the wheel around a little bit down here. Not fight it so much. There we go. So basically just take my hands, stick them up here between the wheel right here. Got my knuckles and stuff in there, so about equal in my hands right now, it feels like. Just a rough idea where we're at. So just trying to make things kind of centered up a little bit. And the fork right here from that side to that side. And we got the brake rotor on there too right now, but we don't have the caliper on. Stock caliper's down there. Custom one's not on it yet. So, but right now you can see that we got about this much space right here. So I got to find a spacer about that big. Now this space over here is about that wide, but if you notice the axle is actually inside the fork. So the axle has to come in this way quite a bit. I don't know if it'll go in that way or not. But it's not going to go in that far because we're going to run out of thread right here. So we can't stick it in the 3/4 of an inch, whatever we got in here. So, but I might be able to put a small spacer in here like this and make it work. And I can use the same, that axle. If we use the other axle, that spacer is kind of built in. So, I'll toss it. So right now I need to get something over here. So we're going to go see what we got for a spacer. Put this over here. Camera over here so I don't drop the thing on the ground. Okay, so we're going to look over here. We're just going to try to play around this a little bit. So right now this spacer here looks like it'll almost go in there. Pretty close. So let's go ahead and measure it and see what we got. Okay, this is a 922. So I know they got something in the 800 area. Let's see what we got over here on spacers. It's an 880. It's a custom one though. Okay, so we got 830, but that's 100 thou less. So this was 926. And we're just about centered up perfectly. So I'm thinking for now I'm just going to go ahead and put this one in there. See how, let's get an eyeball we're looking at here. Yeah, we're definitely over too far to the right. So I think I need something about a 950-ish area. So I'm going to go up front and look at my other spacer box if I got something. So we'll be back. Okay, I found the 886 width one, which is right about what I'm thinking I'm needing. Pull this one out. This side, which I don't have yet. One of these. It's too thick. Okay. Axle's in way too deep, so that's not going to work, but this one looks close. Okay, so with an 880 spacer down here, you can see the gap we got right here versus the one that's right here. So you want something a little more accurate than fingers. You can put a spacer in there and you see the gap between the edge of the tire and that. Looks like about 100 thou. We're going to do the same thing on this one. And you can see how you're a little bit more than that 100 thou. So it looks like you're off by another 50 or so. So we need something around an 820. That's what I'm thinking down there. That's an 880. So we lose another 60 or so. Okay, so we just kind of sneak up on what we need here, a little at a time. There, stand where I can put it. Okay, so I'm going to go up there and look for something around the 820 area, 830. So I'll be back again. Alright, we're back. I had one sitting right here in front of me. Okay, let's go ahead and open this one up, see what we got. This one should be about 825, 830. 830, there we go. Let's out of the way here that are not needed. So pull out this one right here. Back, put this one right here. Shove it all the way over. Okay, now I can take a look and see what our numbers are. Just by eyeballing it, it's looking pretty nice. Not too bad. Still got brake rotor clearance. That's a plus. Axle's still way out of whack. You can see we're completely past where the threads are. And we're still buried up inside the fork somewhere in about to here. So this axle definitely is not working for us. So we're definitely going to have to go to the other axle, the 73 to 84 axle, or 83 axle. Okay, so let's see where our dimension this time is. Okay, this time looks like we're about 150 thou, definitely a fat 1/8 inch. And over here, looks about identical. These tires, looks like we're dead nuts. Okay, so that's good there. Okay, this spacer here is the fattest we can put in here, so that just barely fits in there. So that's as fat as we can run. The axle's in there a little bit, can't tell how far. Can't see in there really what deep it is. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the axle out and see what we think it is right there. It's just a back and forth deal here until you find out what works. We're pretty sure the axle's not going to fit, but we're pretty sure this one here is going to fit on this side. At least I am. Okay, that's this one here, not this one here. Try to keep the number straight so when you sell it you can reorder. Otherwise you wind up not having a bunch of ones you need. You don't have. Okay. So our problem right now is this here is buried up inside the fork. There's no way we can run that because we're bottomed out on this side. Now the other option we can do is we can shove this all the way through, and then we got to shorten the axle up here. But the problem is we're coming off our bearing areas here, so that's another problem. Okay, this is our other axle. Slimy. Yeah, definitely well oiled. Yep. Pay extra for all that oil and grease and puke on everything. Okay. Got cleaned off. Okay, so this is our 73 to 83 axle. So this is basically a shovel head axle, not an Evo axle. Even though there's some overlap in there, that's about what it comes out to be. So when you lay the axle flat, you can see what the difference in height here is. That's going to definitely help us. You can see how the bearing registers are in the same spot. You can also see how the axle goes in further than what the other axle can go in. So if you put it in there against this edge here, which is your stop for your fork, if you're too deep, you can see how much we gained, almost a 1/2 inch down here now. And we don't have as much hanging out the end of the fork, which looks like crap anyway. But more likely I'm going to have to shorten it over here to make it exactly right. But initially this should work a lot better than we got. Okay, so I'm going to put my thin spacer in here. I'm not sure if we even need this, but for now we'll try it. I'm going to leave that spacer out right now to see how deep it goes in here. Okay, so you can see how there's no way this axle will bottom out. See, we still got a gap here, and we got no rotor clearance here, and that's with this spacer here. Now if we took this spacer out, this here would bury inside the fork, and we would have a problem. We would hit here, and we're still way too long over here. Look at, we're ½ inch too long on this side. So if this here stays outside of the fork, we're good on our, we're not going to bottom out in here. You don't want the axle to bottom out on the shoulder against here, because it would be tight right here, but the wheel would be loose. So you don't want that to happen. So just because your nuts are tight does not mean parts are tight. You always got to look at where things bottom out at. Okay, so I'm all right with this right now. This is our 830 spacer, I think. Yep, 830. Seems to be the magic number. Okay. So initially it looks good. Spacer's in. Got our gap back. We're centered here, centered here. Spacer's here. Axle's bottom is through the fork now, and we got a pretty good distance over here hanging out. So we're in a good solid area. We know we're not bottomed out. The shoulder should be about where my fingernail is right now, way out here, which is still supporting this, so we're okay with that. Our axle's still too damn long over here, which is bad, because right now you tighten that up and the axle's loose in the bike. That would not be a good thing. So you'd have to have some kind of a spacer that would go over this to bring it on out. So this axle needs to be shortened up a minimum of about 5/16 of an inch to make it correct. So I'm guessing probably almost 3/16, I mean 3/8 of an inch would be better to make it really work correctly. And you can always make this spacer here shorter. Now we can also make it longer because we can go all the way until the edge of the fork if we want to, which would pull the axle out over here, which would help us here. Disadvantage is the shoulder right here is going to be starting sucking way over here, so you're not supporting this spacer very well, which really isn't that big of a problem. As long as you still got some support on that. You don't want, obviously, you don't want to twist on you while you're tightening things. So I kind of like having these supported, because this does offer some support to the axle if it's inside of it. If it's way off to one edge, it doesn't support the axle can bend and twist and do all kinds of weird junk. So now if we move this thing over a little bit by going like this, right to there, you can see how now we can almost tighten this axle up. We can probably actually tighten this axle up at this point without cutting it. And so we need to add about that much spacer to it. Okay, so let's see, that's going to be probably about 150 thousandths we're adding to that. Not quite this one, but almost this width. If you put this one in there, you would definitely probably not bottom out on this, but right now I'm not going to bottom out on it anyway, so it doesn't have to be this wide. Okay, something in between these two is what we need. So now we got to take this out and see what we got. See what we got to work with. Okay, this looks like about a ½ inch. It is. And this one here is probably a little more. This is 700. So halfway between that would be 600, but I think there's like a 620 spacer you can get. We're going to look in our box and see if we got something in the 620 area. $100. $650, $690. So we get a 650 spacer. I'd like to get a little bit less than that, I think, but it's in the ballpark. Okay. So this one here, 650 is close to I'm getting right now. Okay, so I'm going to go up front, look at my other box, see if I got another one that's closer to 600. I'll be back. Okay, 650 is about it. I just found the package here is in the axle, so it has an axle hardware kit in here. So let's see what the hell, there's a spacer in here. I think it's bigger than I need though. Yep, 650 right on the nut. So that's the axles and that's the one that comes with the kit. That makes it pretty easy. It must be the right one. So there's our spacer, 653. We'll go with this one. I think it's supposed to go on that side over there, but it works. For this application, I think it's going to fly. It can't be any longer than that. It's harder to be able to put together. Okay. So we're in there. Okay, here's the washers and stuff that came with the kit. Quite fit in there. Yeah, maybe. Well, that fits. Okay, new axle, new nut. Okay, this combination of parts will work. Pulls down, that's a good sign. Turn the wheel. Wheel rotates. Wheel appears to be true. That tire is extremely true. Look how nice, it's hardly even bouncing at all. It's definitely a high quality tire. Man, these are them things that wobble all over the place. The Harley tires suck. It's a radial, so it's a high performance tire made for 170 something mile an hour stock, 168, whatever the hell it's speed rated out. It's a W, I think. So that's pretty good. Definitely quality there. Okay, so turn this the other way now. And we just clear our gas tank. Oh yeah, about 100,000. Okay, so right now everything is working like it's supposed to with this axle. So we know we got a pretty good gap here. This is working. You can see we got a little bit of a gap right there. Obviously we're centered still here because we haven't changed the spacer. The spacer's in there, and this tightened up with no problem. And there's room to put a thicker nut or an acorn or something out here if you want to. It'll probably work. So everything bolted in like it's supposed to. The only disadvantage is I'm not sure where my edge of my axle's at over here. But we know this one here was probably pretty much identical. Right here. This edge was almost the same, so is there a way of me telling what we got here? Let's see, put that right on the edge. Nope, that doesn't help me. I'd have to measure it. Oop. So the only thing I don't like is how far that is in there. So right now we know that this is sticking out pretty far. I got about that much of a gap. So if I take this spacer out, I can check it real quick and see what we got. You can always duplicate what we have. Put this all on this other axle here. See how much this nut's thicker than this one here by a little bit. Pretty slimy little nut. We have to see if we get a better nut than this. It's pretty sourful for a nut. Most of the time, whatever comes in any kind of hardware kits that come in these applications, I don't use the hardware. Most of the time, it's pretty crappy. Okay, so if we put this in the same spot, about right there is about where the axle was at. So now we can kind of see how far that shoulder is right there. It's right in the middle. See, we got a gap right over here. So we know where we were at there. So we know this one's right in the middle of the spacer. Ideally, I like to be right over toward the edge here, but we still got decent support on the spacer, so it's livable. So it's better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be less than that, so that's a plus. Okay, put that back in here. Pull this back together. Take a look at what happened to our washer when we tighten it down. I said it's a piece of crap washer. It's not very good. We can definitely upgrade and put a lot better quality part in here. This stuff here sucks. So we will probably be upgrading. Okay. Okay, now we're going to work on our caliper a little bit and see what that's going to come in at. So right now the caliper is over here. Mounts right through here. So we got to put something on here. Okay, now this is a stock caliper right here that obviously bolts directly onto this one. Once we get rid of this zip tie that's in the way. Find my pocket knife. There you go. So you don't want to lose this washer. These are very expensive from Harley. I think they're obsolete now too. Okay, so this one has no pads on it, so it's not really going to help us anything. So where's that new Ultima one at we just had out? Okay, so here's the new Ultima caliper. Pull this back a little bit. Okay, so this is their mounting bracket for this application. So we should be able to mount this up. Let's see here. I'm going to open this up without scratching or destroying stuff. Okay, there's the baggie coming off. So this is a one-time application of crap. Make sure you don't lose your Made in China sticker. Don't want anybody to know where you didn't make it from, right? Oh, it appears to be chrome. I thought these were polished. Great, they make a polished caliper and they sell you chrome brackets. Wonderful. Well, we needed more chrome on this bike. It's starting to get kind of dull looking. So he'll be pleased. So always make sure you got enough chrome on your bike. Okay. Now. Yeah. This does not fit this application. It looks like the bolt hole is correct, but the fork is a lot thicker through here, so this bracket has to be cut back to about here to make it work. And being chrome, that ain't gonna fly very well. So that kind of defeats the purpose of having a chrome bracket. Okay, anyway, that goes on there like that. See how close we are. This all fit. I wonder if that goes on the inside. Boy, that'd be really close on that. Yeah, that's probably what they're putting on the inside, I bet. Pretty tight. The rotor's too close to the fork to be on the inside. I'll go ahead and assemble this onto here and see what it's supposed to sit. Notice how the bolts are sticking through into your brake areas almost, but it'll clear the pad. But when the pads are worn out, I might get closer, but for now it'll work. Okay, so what do we got here? So we're a good 1/4 inch off of making this fit of anywhere. You can see all right, so you put this on the rotor, rotate it on up, so you can see how you're way the hell off making it fit at all. So according to this, we'd have to go over a 1/4 inch at least. So that means you have to put big spacers between the mounting bracket and the caliper. I don't think the rotor's in the wrong spot because the wheel's centered. So they would have to run some serious amounts of spacers on that thing. So basically you have to run some big thick spacers between the bracket and the caliper. So you have to slide this caliper, this bracket to be way the hell over to here for it to work. So that's not quite how I like doing stuff. Okay, so we know where this is going to be. It's going to be kind of an area I don't like. So we need to find out if the caliper is the problem or if it's the fork wheel combo, disc brake, all that stuff isn't working. I can't even lock it up with the length I need because these bolts are going to be barely, I guess you get a couple threads in there. Maybe one thread. So you have to be spaced way over like this almost. See, it's just about rubbing on the pad here. So that's about how much of a gap you'd have to have on these things to make it work. Let's see what that looks like. Nope, that's not even going to do it either. Not even close. We need to double that. Let's see, get down a little bit would help. Yeah, a little bit better. I need another 1/8 of an inch more. Definitely gonna need some longer bolts. Okay, so I might be able to make this work, but it's going to be pushing it. We never like pushing things around here. Heaven forbid if we do that. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Give me kind of a rough idea of how far off things are at. There's no brake pads in this thing, so this is going to be rough. How we're doing this. Pretty close in there. Bolt won't even go in there. That's not a good sign. This one. Nope. I have every damn Allen wrench in the world out here pretty soon. Never seem to have the right one. This is not fitting. Alright, to run this combination we got to move the wheel over. The caliper mounting bracket is right up against the rotor. There's no clearance at all. It's flush with it. You should have at least 60 thou clearance of that bracket when it's tight. So that means you'd have to move this disc rotor over. Obviously we can't move the hub, so the whole wheel will have to be this way, which will knock it off center, because right now we're centered between here and here, as I recall. So let's do a half-assed check on that again. The spacer's too tall. Okay, we are at 100. Yeah, we're centered. So right now the wheel's centered, but this mounting flange is too thick. It's too far to the left. So it's not working at all. So the stock caliper doesn't fit either. Now the other mounting bracket is probably about the same thickness. Maybe. There it is over here. So it's fairly thick. Also, I think it's a little bit thinner than the Harley bracket, so this might work, but it is going to be tight, tight, tight. So let's try that one. So stock parts aren't working, that's not a good sign. So this one I couldn't even get to start and binding up. Okay, they appear to be about the same thickness, but it's just a tick less. That might be enough to make it work, but it'll be too close to really run. So this isn't the rotor we're going to run, so maybe the new rotor is a little bit thinner. It might help us. Anything we get is going to help because there's no clearance right now. We're running 0 clearance right now. So first thing I do is get this mounted in here. Right there tells you the story. It ain't going to fit. The buttons on here are hitting. Yep, we're laying on the buttons. So if you're going to have a floating rotor, this doesn't work. You'd have to cut this way underneath over here a little bit, or you have to move the wheel over. At least on this application. And it's very, very close to the everything. So it's not very good. It's too close. So even though the wheel's centered right now, I don't think we're going to be able to use it because nothing works here. Nothing lines up. Now if you run a non-floating rotor, a solid rotor, without the buttons, it would be micro close, but it would work. But it'd be right there. So right now you have to offset the wheel over to the right a little bit to make this all work. I don't particularly want to do that. So the only other option you got is to turn the flange down on the hub a little bit. Sink the damn thing into the hub to get our clearance we need, which is a lot of work. And with this hub, there's no register on the other side to really center it, so it's kind of hard thing to really do accurately. So I don't want to exactly be doing that either. And the rotor we want to use, I think, is going to have the same problem. So I think we're going to wind up having to offset the everything on over a little bit. Don't think we're going to have any option on this one. Pain. So nothing, stuff does not fly. So the only other thing we do is something that does not use this mounting bracket would be our other option. I'm not sure if we got a really good option on that one. You have to have a caliper that has a built-in bracket, which is what he didn't want to spend a bunch of money on PM stuff, so I'm not sure if that would help us anyway. There's one way to find out. Let's go steal a PM caliper. No one's here looking, right? I might know where there might be a couple of PM calipers floating around that nobody's using right this minute. I don't know what color they would possibly be. Ooh, looks like black ones. We need a right side one. No, we need a left side. Which one is this? This is the right side. Hey, look what I found. A left side one. Sure he wouldn't mind doing a quick mock-up. See how thin the mounting bracket is? That is going to help us a ton. Alright. Look what I found. Just sitting around not being used. Now I'm sure nobody will mind. He wanted some black parts in the bike anyway. He just didn't want to spend this much money. But he wants to stop good. Kind of hard not to stop good without spending money. Okay, let's see what happens here. These are pretty slick. We've got steel inserts in here now, so you can tighten the piss out of them, not strip them out. Getting better. It's a lot better than it used to be. Maybe I actually do listen to customer complaints over the years, huh? Nope. Yeah, about 80 thou. They're thin enough to fit in there, but they're about 80 thou more. So we have the same problem. The hub on the wheel's made wrong. That's the problem with that kind of stuff. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to move the wheel over. And then we'll have to come back and move the tire back to the center by truing it. Get it back on center where it belongs. Because I'm going to have to offset everything over to make it clear. So, problem. So, got no choice at this point. And let me put this back so I don't damage it. Alright, so that's one advantage of a spoke wheel over a mag wheel. You can play. So what's going to get done here is we are going to move the hub over and the rotor over this way by changing out these spacers here. Then, to get the wheel back in the center, we're going to relace the nipples here. So basically we have to loosen up this side of the nipples on this side and tighten up this side, and that will move the whole tire that way relative to the hub. So we get the hub where it needs to be, and then we put the tire where we want it to be in the middle. So that's what we're going to have to do. So that's an advantage of running a spoke wheel. You can do stuff like that. A mag wheel would be pretty hard to do that. With bolt-on flanges, you can probably play with the flanges and kind of get the same effect, but you know, it's a different way of doing things. All right, so we know we got a was an 830 spacer in here, I think. So now everything has to move over a little bit. Probably need to move over a good 1/8 of an inch, I bet, to really make this work, if not more. Okay, so this one here was 830. So there's a spacer 930 available. And there was an 880, which is 50. 50 I don't think is going to give us what we need. I think we need 100 thousandths. So we need like a 930. Or something close to it. don't see a 930 here. Here's our 920s. So these are 920s here. So we need to get some new ones of these. 930. Okay, I'm gonna give me some 930 spacer and I'll be back. Alright, I got a handful of spacers. I got low 9s, high 9s, and 1 inch. The next size up to 1 1/4 inch, so that's pretty big. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the caliper on here and let the caliper kind of dictate where things are gonna sit, and then see where the hub lines up. Instead of putting the wheel kind of where I think it needs to go and then go back and forth, it's easier just to do it that way, I think. But initially, I can put a thick spacer in there and try it, I guess. So this is our thick one here, it's 1 inch. At least pretty close to 1 inch. This fits 90 to 99 front right hand side. Yeah, it's close to right hand side. Pretty close. I'm not sure you want that on the right, but yeah, whatever. Okay, that does fit in there. Yep. That'll fit in there. This now the other axle might start to work too. It's just starting to look a lot better on this side. Wheel doesn't look very good, but oh well. So from 830 to 1 inch, it's 170 thousandths, so just under 3/16 of the movement. Okay, that'll allow us to bolt the brake on there now. If I had some bolts. Okay, that'll fit now. A lot of clearance. Okay, some 3/8 coarse bolts, it looks like. There's a couple of short bolts. We'll see if they work for what we need. Yeah, it's they're going too deep. Okay, they don't go in too deep, so that's a plus. About 1/8 inch longer bolt. Okay, we got a good 3/16 clearance to the rotor now. Okay, put this on here and see kind of where we're sitting at. Okay, we still need to have a pretty good washer in here to bolt this on, it looks like. Okay, I got plenty of those to use. So these are nice heat-treated Gardner Westcott washers. They're pretty square, pretty flat, nice thick, and they're hardened. So you want to use something really accurate when you move your caliper out so it doesn't tilt around when you tighten it. Makes a big difference. You just don't throw regular store-bought hardware in there. Is usually what you try not to use on your brakes, preferably. Okay, let's see how close we are. We're pretty good. Okay, it bolts on. That's a big plus. Must be the tight one. Okay, we're a little bit too close still. It does bolt on. Okay, so now you can see how the rotor is in there. See how the rotor's right up against, it's not rubbing against the caliper, it's really tight. You got more clearance on that side. So the caliper needs to come out just a little bit, or the hub needs to go to the right some more. I don't have any more spacer to go to the right on the hub, so we'll use that. We'll just space the caliper out a little bit more. So basically we need about another 30 thou spacer underneath to here. We need a little bit more washer under this one. But this isn't the rotor I'm going to use, so I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to be, but we're close. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, because it actually does bolt on. It is runnable right now, it's just not centered where it should be. You don't want to have everything right on the very ragged edge when you just start, because there's no room for air. So obviously it does work. It's not dragging per se. Okay. So we got the 1-inch spacer here. I got this one over here. Now, how much can we move the axle this direction is the next question. Everything is usable the way it is right now. It's just we're way out right now. So you can see how the axle is in there a little bit more than it needs to be, but it's not exactly super far in. So I'm going to see where we're at over here. I think we moved this over a little bit more, but we got a longer spacer, so we're probably okay. What do we got? We got the same gap over here now. So the axle is pretty much in about the same spot it was before, even though I put a thinner spacer here. I just moved everything over. So it's about the same gap. So this gap here should be about the same spot. It should be about right here in the middle of the old spacer, which is here. Being a longer spacer, we actually gained a little more penetration into the spacer. So I think we're good on the axle. And it's obviously not going to bottom out here, so we're good, I think. I don't need to check any further on that. We already did that before, and it's about the same location, so I'm good. So I'm going to put this in here like this. Crappy threads on that nut. We're definitely going to upgrade this hardware. This stuff is crap. Okay. So now, make sure everything rotates correctly. It does rotate. The pads will center up when you put fluid in them. Okay, so now you can see where we're at. So we got the big spacer there, got a big gap here, but you can see way down in there that we are, the caliper is clearing like it needs to, but too close. Obviously the tire is not anywhere near centered anymore. We got maybe a 1/2 inch on this side, and we got 7/8 of an inch on this side. So this tire needs to go way the hell over. Over here we're good, and this is sticking out fine, doesn't matter. We're getting closer on our hub right here, so we want to keep pushing that. We are getting close. So that's another good sign that we're probably getting a little bit far over. But I think we're in a good spot right now. But I need to move this tire this way quite a bit. So look at where the flange is at on the tire. Easy to true a wheel without a tire on it, not with a tire on it. So, and this has all that glue on the inside, which I don't like too much either. So we are definitely going to have to do some truing on this thing, re-offsetting. And there's 80 damn spokes to do, or 60 spokes, I mean, that I have to deal with. So that's kind of a pain in the butt too. Alright, so I'll deal with that later. We know we're going to have to move it over, we just don't know how far. So we got everything kind of set up right now where it works. So working is better than not working. So all of this stuff is good. The fender, I think we shouldn't have a problem with the fender fitting, because that's, I don't think there's going to be any issue with that. That should bolt right on. So we need to get our spacer here. There's our spacer. Got to have your spacer. Back down. It's hard to tell the front from the back sometimes, but the longer one's the front. Right now our clearance on the fender up inside is the thickness of this belt, which is about 7/16 of an inch right now probably. Plenty for these tires. These are radial tires, they aren't going to grow hardly at all. And this is a brand new tire, so I'm not expecting it to move much. So you can see how much I can move the holes up. And I slid the fender forward, rotated it forward this way, which makes it look a little better, I think. So it looks like we're about equal here on our gaps between here and here. It'd be nice if that thing fit the smaller tire, but it's like it's made for a bigger diameter tire than this. And we can definitely cut the holes in here and then weld up these old holes. And this can be recut here to make it look more like the back over here, if we want to. Or we can rotate it back a little bit and run it there, you know. Nobody said you had to leave it in that spot. You can go this direction with it. And so you like it like that, or you like it a little bit forward? I kind of like it forward myself, but whatever. We'll have to make some decisions on that one, obviously. Aerodynamically, it's better being forward, I think. Yeah, toss up. Not much difference. Okay, let's see. I think that's about it for tonight, because until I get the brake rollers we're going to use, I can't do anything else in the front end. So, anyway, it'd be nice if things were made to fit better, but oh well. What I don't like is that it's got that glue and crap on the inside for running tubeless, and hopefully I can rotate the nipples and not develop any leaks. Oh well, we'll find out. But you definitely let all the air out of the tire before you do it. Don't go tight nipples with air in tires. That's stupid. That's how you definitely put holes in things. So we'll go ahead and let the air out of that tire, and then move it over a little bit. Kind of center it up a little bit. But first we'll put the rotors on and make sure the brakes work. So anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to make it fit, whatever it takes. So I think we got a pretty good combination going right this minute, but that can change. Every time you change a part, it affects some other part. So for now, that's about it. We can use that PM caliper, probably bolt on right now if he wants to go that route. So we have to find out for sure what calipers we're going to use, and we already got the rotor picked out, so we'll grab that. But he's going to make a decision on the caliper. If we use the Ultima caliper, then we'll stay. This combination I think will work all right. So there's the caliper over here. If he wants to go the PM caliper, then things might change slightly. You don't know until you know for sure which parts are in the bike. But I think the PM caliper allows us to move the wheel over a little bit to the left. We can drop down a little bit thinner space, one of those thinner ones we got there. Might be able to drop down to the 930, at least a 980. That ain't much, but every little bit helps. Anyway, that's it for tonight, I guess. So I'm going to call it a day again, and we'll be back at it next time.